Hi, teachers from Allen Park. Kelly and I have had a great time coming into your classrooms and working with you on developing your brain-friendly reading skills. So many of you have asked basically for follow-on training, and there's a couple of different ways you can do it. I'm going to post short little videos every week or so about some of the skills that are most commonly asked about during the training. Brain Friendly Reading also offers a training that's a 30-hour level 1 training. I know it sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But you can space it out over 10 weeks, 15 weeks, 20 weeks, whatever you want to do. It's completely asynchronous. There's also a training that's starting in the fall. I think the second week of February will start. But both of those are discounted, and your principals may be thinking about supporting you financially in taking those trainings if you'd like. So you can check those out on the Brain Friendly Reading website. Those are funded by the same funds that support us to come into your classrooms at no charge to the district. And that's through our nonprofit called We Shall Read, that's funded by Pathways Foundation. We're very grateful to them for the funding they give us to bring this work to the teachers to help you become highly skilled in reading, even if you didn't really think of yourself as a reading teacher because you're in upper grades. Or perhaps you'd like to be a really highly skilled reading and dyslexia interventionist so that you can go out into the community and begin to do some tutoring. So there's a tremendous need, and we're here to support you in that process. Today, we're going to talk about whole group instruction. Where can you find the outline for that, and what does it look like? Some of you might have had me or Kelly in your classroom talking about those pieces, but this is particularly designed for second, third, fourth, and fifth. First graders can do this too, depending on where your children are at with their skill development. Okay, so whole group instruction is going to look really straightforward and similar most of the time. And then there's other pieces that you can do, some of which I'll talk about today. If you want to take out your training companion guide, then you can go ahead and open up to the section of the training companion guide that is for whole group instruction. And you'll notice inside your training companion guide that the pieces of the program, the chart tapping and the arm spelling and the game playing and the lessons, there's a little bit of information here about that, as well as handwriting. Large group classroom instruction, that tier 1 instruction, this is the basic daily program for that. So let's just dig into that a little bit today. The first thing that you want to do every time that you are working with the children with their phonics work is to tap the charts. Now, you might tap the charts at a different time than when you want to do the new lesson. That's okay. Perhaps you want to tap the charts in the morning, first thing in the morning, or right when they come back from lunch. It doesn't really matter what time of the day you tap the charts, as long as you tap the charts every day. Some of you may have questions about how long do I tap the chart? When do I introduce a new chart? Those questions are specific to your class and your children. But for our purposes, we're just going to walk through what a basic daily program is. Tap the charts. Then you can dictate some sounds to the children. They can write those sounds down, or they can find them on their chart. Right next to the schedule is a sample of what a student's work page might look like. For example, if they were working on CK, they would write CK at the top of their page. They would have already tapped their charts. They can find the CK on their chart and tap it a couple of times. And then you're going to do step 2, which is the sound dictation. Here, the next step is for the children to write the grapheme that they're studying. Here they're writing CK, CK, and they underline it and say CK, CK. And the children do this independently, which means they're not doing it in unison, but they are all verbalizing it. So the class sounds like a bunch of children saying CK, CK, and one line worth is fine. That is this piece of teaching the new lesson, that they're going to write the new letter or letter combination. And you can model how to do that for the children and teach them how to do it. And really quickly, they begin to know how to do that piece of work. It doesn't take long, 30 seconds. The next piece that you're going to do is arm spell words that go with the new lesson. So I was saying CK, but here's an example with SH. If we were doing a lesson on SH, I would look in my book under the SH page, and I would find some words that have sh. I can go into my lesson page and find words that have sh, dictate them to the children, and let the children arm spell them all together. That looks like this. Here's a word, shut. You say it, the children say it back to you, shut. Then you arm spell it, sh-ut, on your arm, just like this. Sh-ut. All together, you and the children arm spell sh-ut, and then slide and say shut. Then you give them another word, shift. They say it back to you, shift, arm spell it, shift. Now those really quiet ending blends like ft or nd, those you need to really articulate and help the children to hear those sounds that come at the end. You're going to arm spell just a few words, all orally. 5 to 10 is what I said. And then you're going to arm spell and write, which means that you're going to dictate a word from the lesson page. Pick a word from the lesson page. And then you're going to ask the children to repeat the word in unison and arm spell it all together. And then they write the word. And what that looks like is just like this. You might pick the word hush. The children say hush back to you. You arm spell it, sh. And then you say to the children, what comes at the beginning? And they say, and they write the H. What comes in the middle? And they write the What comes at the end? Sh, and they write the sh. Those teacher prompts are right here. When you're dictating a word, you want them to write it, or just notice where the sounds are. This is the language to use. What comes at the beginning? And they give you the sound. What comes in the middle? They give you the sound. What comes at the end? They give you the sound, not the letter names, but the sound. Okay, so use this strategy when you're dictating orally and you want to check to see if they're hearing what a specific sound is. And when they're arm spelling and they're writing, ask them, what's in the beginning? And those children who don't automatically know how to spell hush are going to come back to their arms and say, what's at the beginning? And then write it. What's in the middle? And write the sh. What's at the end? Shh. And you write shh. You can model that on your Cleverboard or on your document camera, showing them how to do that. But again, it's the same process every time you do it. So really quickly, the children begin to understand that you can arm spell a word and write it. This skill translates to their daily work. This isn't a standalone skill just for this exercise. This is directly teaching the children how to break words into sounds and then how to write what they hear. This is the meat of this work right here. This develops the ear, being able to hear the sounds without the complication of writing. And here we attach the skill of writing to it. So they can hear where the sounds are in the word, and then they can write the letters that go with that sound. And then many people have asked what to do with phrases or sentences that are in the book. And you have phrases in the book. I'll stick with the SH page. You have phrases on some pages, and some pages you don't. And you have sentences. So you can dictate the sentences to the children. Of course, you would want to make sure that your children were able to handle a sentence this big. If you're in a second grade classroom and you have children reading at the kindergarten level, this would be overwhelming. You might want to stick with just doing 2-word phrases or 3-word phrases so everybody can be successful. But if I dictated this sentence, I made a wish to get a ship. The children say it back to you. I made a wish to get a ship. Now, you might need to dictate part of it. I made a wish, and they say, I made a wish to get a ship, to get a ship. I made a wish to get a ship. When would somebody make a wish to get a ship? We're going to think about our sentence. Oh, maybe they made that wish on their birthday that they wanted to get a ship. What kind of ship did they want? Oh, they wanted a red ship or a model ship, or they wanted a ship that they could take into the bathtub with them. So you're going to help the children to make meaning out of this sentence. We want to help them to create a picture in their mind of the sentence that we are thinking of. Why? because that leads to the children being able to do the piece of the work that so many upper elementary teachers are interested in, which is reading comprehension. Children need to know that words have meaning, and we put the words together into a sentence, that we're creating pictures in our mind. Struggling readers are so focused on decoding the words, they don't have the brain power left to make meaning out of it. So let's practice how to do that with just individual sentences, and let the children begin to explore that idea of making pictures in their mind. The other piece you can do with this is use these sentences, because they're very accessible and they're decodable, to do things that you need to do for grammar, like the blush was in the trash. The red blush was in the trash. What is blush? Oh, that's that makeup mom puts on her face. The red blush was in the trash. What was in the trash? The red blush. Where was it? In the trash. So you can start looking at prepositional phrases. You could identify being verbs. You could identify adjectives, nouns. All kinds of grammar work can go into these sentences. You can also use these sentences when it's available to practice things like quotation marks or ending punctuation and noticing those. One of the pieces that children really enjoy with this work is a sentence like this: are all of the crabs in the shop fresh? So you know that children often, as they're beginning to read, they'll say, are all of the crabs in the shop fresh? And it's choppy with no inflection, no intonation. So what you can do is practice reading different children reading the sentence like they would if they were an actor. Are all of the crabs in the shop fresh? Are all of the crabs in the shop fresh? Where do they change their voice? And just letting children practice and demonstrate for one another how you can read a sentence with emotion, read it with inflection. You'll notice that in your lesson page also, that if you're at a younger grade, you might just be working at the single word level. You might have children that in your class and you're thinking, you know what, I really want to point out this what makes something plural and how that sounds. Shops, shots. Oh, that T almost disappears. What's the base word? Shot. More than one shot? Shots. You might use it to talk about base words and suffixes. Here you have compound words, so you can teach them two-syllable arm spelling and how to break two-syllable words apart. That's all here too. In this piece, something is changing. There's something to notice about this work. These are here so that you could make another game. You could, in a small group, ask the children to highlight or underline the vowels and then read them. Full ash, flash, full ush, flush, full esh, flesh. Now let's read it again. Flash, flush, flesh, flash, flush, flesh. Then come over here and underline the vowels. And that might look like just drawing a line underneath it, as simple as this. Let's read it together. Ush, mush, ash, mash, esh, mesh. That works well in a small group. You can also teach the children how to read on their arm, just like this. Ash, mash. They're looking at their word and they put the sounds on their arm. Ush, mush. Or esh, mesh. That is a way for children to be able to blend those sounds together using a gross motor technique. That's an extension piece of work. That's not part of the regular basic daily program. But I want you to see that there's extra pieces on your page that you can use with children in small group. Today, I gave one group a CI, CE, CY page, and there was a place for them to draw the lines to match two parts of something. And the children were very interested in doing that piece. So there's different sections on every page, but the basic daily program is arm spelling, words that are on the page, and then the children arm spelling and writing the words, the individual words, and then doing phrase or sentence dictation if they're ready to do that. Some of these other pieces you can say for individual or small group work. Now, a piece of the basic daily program is game playing. So game playing isn't just for fun. Game playing is where the children get to read the words multiple times. So that repeated reading is very important for children who are moving up the ladder of reading, right? So you can decide when you want to play games, whether you want to play it after the lesson or later that day or at the end of a work period, whenever it is you want to play those games. You can also send the game pages home for homework. Okay, so one of the pieces that you can do that's an alternate for an alternate activity in the classroom is to arm spell words and then arm spell and write words, but do it instead of on a piece of paper, to do it on a game page. So some teachers have decided that what works well for them is to make a copy of the game page. And they do their basic daily program. They tap their charts, they dictate sounds for the children to write, and the children write them on the back of their game page. So they have a game page, and on the back, the children write the sounds dictated. Whoa. The children write the words that the letters they know that say whoa. And then they might have the sound x, and they write an X, or qua, and they write qua. They're writing their sounds on the back of their game page. And then it's time for the new sound. And this one is ong and ing and ang and ong. So on the back of their page, the kids are going to write I-N-G, ing, A-N-G, ang, O-N-G, ong, U-N-G, ong. Or they could write I-N-G, ing, I-N-G, ing, I-N-G, ing, and then do ang 3 times. A-N-G, ang, A-N-G, ang, A-N-G, ang, etc. Then, as part of their new instruction, they've written their new letter or letter combinations. It's time to arm spell. And you can just look at the words on the game page and arm spell them like you have here. Lung, ol, ung. That's it. Lung or long, ol, ong, long. Or cling, col, ing, cling. You've arm spelled words that are just on this page. This is all you needed for this lesson, is just this page. Arm spell some words here, flip the page over, and then tell the children, I'm going to give you some words to write. Here's your first word, swing. The children say it back to you, swing. Let's arm spell it. Swa-ing. What did you hear first? Swa. Let's write it. Swa. Swa-ing. What's right here? Ing. Ing, I-N-G, ing, and they might say I-N-G as they write it. Swing. Sometimes children will underline it as they read it. You're going to write your words here, that the kids are going to write their words that are dictated to them. Now you have a game page. One of the things that you can do with your game page is to have the children come and find all the ings and angs and ongs and ungs. And when they find it, to underline it. And what do? We say it when we underline it. Ung, 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 ing, ong. And you don't have to do it all together. The children can find it and they can say it. You could come back in and have the children read the words that are on the page. But that's really fun to do in the game, that they take their 2 pages, they cut them apart, they play with a friend. Now that is a task that takes about 20 minutes or so. So one of the things you can do is just collect all the pages. And when it's time to play the game, pass out 2 pages, the kids cut them apart and they play with their friend. Or You can take the game pages and you can use them in small group. It doesn't matter that there's writing on the back. That doesn't matter. This doesn't have to be saved anywhere. If it's easy for you to use the back of your game page as a writing page, that works. If you want to use the back when you make a copy of this lesson page and you want to read these words with the children together, mark and read them, you can use the back of that page as a writing page. That's okay too. So those are some strategies for you to use. I'll point you to this page over here. People are asking me about schedules. That my recommendation is that you teach at least 2 new lessons a week. Some of you might be able to teach more in older grades. You teach a lesson, and then the next day you come back and review that lesson. A review might just be that you tap the charts and that you remember that SH says shh, and you tap it 3 times, and you give the children a game page and they get to play their game. Review days are a great day to play a game. So the first day, you're going to teach the lesson using your basic daily program, and the next day you review. Then you teach a new lesson and you review. And on day 5, you might teach another new lesson or part of a lesson that you didn't get to before, or you just pick one of the games that you've already played and you play again. Here are some examples of ways to mark pages. And you can see that there's lots of just underlining of the part of the skill that is being highlighted in each of the games. Pencils work fine for that. Highlighters also work fine. Notice here that this is an example of what a child's work might look like if you're using a journal or a notebook to write it in. What were the steps? Tap the charts, then sound dictation. Write the new grapheme multiple times. Arm spell words orally. That's not on here. Arm spell and write some words. Maybe do a phrase and a sentence or 2 or 3 if you're in older grades. Focusing on capitals and periods also. So that's the piece of the large group instructional strategy. You'll notice at the bottom that says to teach the puzzle words on a lesson if there is a puzzle word that needs to be taught, to make sure all the children can read and spell that. And that is in the corner of your page, your lesson page. This is your teacher box, and inside your teacher box is a little cheat sheet of what you can bring to the children or what you need to know in order to understand this work more fully. So that is a basic daily program for whole group activity, and we'll hopefully get you started or answer a few more questions as you begin this work. And you're welcome to invite Kelly and I to come into your classrooms and do some coaching with you around how to use the program, or to teach a lesson that you're like, I see this lesson, but I'm not quite sure how to teach it, whether it's CIEY or whether it's how to do the syllable division or whatever it might be that you would like support with. When we come into your classroom, we're happy to provide you with that support.